everybody, my name is Samantha, this is Sammy, and we're from a very special place called Wild Wonders. And we brought some pretty amazing animals with us today. But before we get started, let me make sure that we're in the right place. Raise your hand if you guys like animals. All right, good. Sammy, we went to the right place. Okay, just making sure. Well, we brought some animals with us today from all over North America and South America. In North America, they are from all around the United States. And in South America, these animals are all from the rainforest. Now, hopefully, guys, by getting to see these animals, learning and hearing about these animals, and some of you will get a chance to touch some of my animals, you guys will understand why they're so important to keep around. But there's just a few things I need everybody to do, because there always has to be rules, right? So my first rule is I need everyone to sit flat on their bottoms for the entire show. Make sure we're not jumping up, make sure we're not running up, and just make sure you're staying seated the whole time. And my second and most important rule is I need everyone to stay as quiet as possible. Some of these animals have really big ears, and we don't want to surprise them with our loud noises. So if everyone stays nice and quiet, if you have questions, raise your hand, and I will be able to pick on you after we finish talking about the animals to answer those questions. Are those pretty easy rules, guys? Yeah! All right, then let's get started with our first animal, who's from right here in North America. You're going to find her in forests in the northeast and northwest. Here she comes. Her name is Snow Pea. Hi, baby girl. And raise your hand if anybody out there can guess what Snow Pea is. What is she? A porcupine. You're absolutely right. She is a North American porcupine. And like I said, these guys live in the forest. So they are really, really cool because they've got something all over their body. Raise your hand if you know what's on her body. What does she have?
Prickles.
Remember, you got to raise your hand if you know what the answer is. What does she have all over her body, sweetie? Stay seated. Got to make sure you're staying flat on your bottom and keep your mouth nice and zipped. What does she have all over her body? Do you remember? Look at all these things. What are they called?
Sprinkles.
Everybody, what are they called? Spines, exactly, or spikes. Well, these are very special ones called quills. And porcupines have 30,000 quills all over their body, and that's what allows them to protect themselves because those quills are really, really sharp. Do you think anybody is going to want to mess with my friend Snow Pea? No way, she's got all those quills. But sometimes a mountain lion thinks that they can maybe mess with her, and they're going to get stuck with those quills, and those quills have something called a barb at the end of them. It's just like a little fish hook. And that barb is what, when the quill goes in, it gets stuck and it can't get pulled out very easily. Now, people, we have fingers, right? Those fingers help us to be able to pull any of those quills out. But does a mountain lion have fingers? No, it doesn't. So what is the mountain lion going to do? Raise your hand if you know what the mountain lion might try to do. What will it do? Would it cry? It might cry a little bit. It might run home. Does anybody else know what the mountain lion might try to do? What will it do? It'll kind of try to pull them out with its teeth. But the mountain lion is also going to go find a big rock or a big tree, and it's going to start rubbing on that to get those quills off. And those quills are going to break off right at the skin. But a tiny little piece of quill is still going to be inside the mountain lion's body. Now, sometimes what can happen is that tiny little piece of quill is going to start floating around the mountain lion's body. It's going to get into his bloodstream, and sometimes it's going to end up piercing someplace really important, like his heart. And that is how a little guy like this can take out a huge guy like a mountain lion. And that's why there's almost no natural predators for porcupines. Now, if you've got the best protection in the world, do you have to be very fast? No. Do you have to be very smart?
Yes.
No, you don't. So she's really, really cute, but she's not one of the brainiacs of the forest. Now look at all those really cool, she's holding onto that food with those huge claws. Do you think that she's a really good climber?
Yes.
Yeah, she is. But sometimes, you know what? Porcupines are really clumsy and they fall out of trees. But these guys have a really easy way to protect themselves because when they fall out of the tree, sometimes they'll end up quilling themselves. But the way they protect themselves is really cool. Raise your hand if you've ever gotten hurt and your mom or dad put Neosporin on it. Did anybody ever have that happen? Yup. Well, she's got something just like Neosporin in her bloodstream, and that's what helps protect her, so she doesn't have to put anything on it because it's already in her body. Now, with all those quills, do you think that she's a really good swimmer? Yeah, she's an excellent swimmer. That's because those quills are hollow, and all of those hollow quills have air in them, and it's just like having 30,000 floaties all over her body. And so when she gets into the water, she's going to float downstream, and she will climb out of that river wherever she wants to, and keep walking around the forest looking for her favorite foods. She's got that big ear of corn. Now, does anybody want to be really brave and come up here and meet my friend, Snoopy? How about in the white t-shirt right here? That's you. In the blue up front. In the striped shirt all the way in the back. That's you. And how about in the pink right here? All right, you guys, you come right over here. All right, come right over here, stand in a line. And can I have your hand? Nice big flat pancake hand. Touch her right on her back. Good job. Head on back to your seat. And everyone will have a chance to touch things, but if you didn't get called this time, make sure you stay in your seat, sweetie. Can you sit back down in your seat? You didn't get called this time, but next time you will get a chance. Right down her back, just like that. Perfect. Now, guys, do you think that porcupines can shoot their quills?
Yes.
They cannot shoot their quills because you actually have to touch a porcupine for them to get stuck in you. So, all of those hairs on top that our lucky volunteers touched were guard hairs. But underneath those, are you going to let me show them? Underneath those, she has all of those sharp quills underneath, and that's what she uses to protect herself. Now, you also may notice she can head on back towards that area. She's got an itch. Now, you also may notice that there's kind of a stinky smell in the room. But I'll let you guys in on a secret. That is porcupine perfume. That is how Snoopy gets all of her boyfriends. She has that really stinky smell, and the boys have a really stinky smell, and they both think that's the coolest smell in the world. And so the boys love to find Snoopy's smell through the forest, and they'll follow that. But to people, it kind of smells like body odor. All right, guys, Snoopy is going to head back, but let's all wave goodbye to her and say, bye, Snoopy.
Bye, Snoopy.
All right, guys. Well, that was our friend Snoopy from the forest. This next creature is going to be from Florida and Louisiana and Mississippi. And this animal doesn't live in the forest, it lives in the swamps. It likes to swim. It's got really tough skin to help it swim. Everybody, this is Creole. Does anybody want to raise their hand and guess what Creole is? Raise your hand if you think alligator. Raise your hand if you think crocodile. And raise your hand if you think crocagator. I'm just kidding. There's no such thing as a crocagator, but if you guessed alligator, you're absolutely right. Creole is an American alligator, and like I said, these guys are found in the swamps in the southeast of the United States. Remember, guys, we gotta not chat during the show. Make sure your lips are zipped closed. Thank you very much. Great. So this is Creole, the American alligator. Now, there's a few easy ways to tell the differences between crocodiles and alligators. First, crocodiles are going to be a lot bigger. They're going to be a lot meaner, and they have a nose that's shaped like a V. But my friend Creole is an alligator, so she's going to be a little smaller, a little bit calmer, and her nose is shaped like a U. But guys, does that mean that my friend Creole is a wimp?
No.
No way. when she's full grown, the tip of her nose will be all the way over here where my toes are, and the tip of her tail will be all the way over there by Sammy. She's going to be 15 feet long and weigh 1,000 pounds. And when she's 15 feet long and 1,000 pounds, is she going to go with me to shows? No way. She's going to be bigger than my car. But it takes these guys a really, really long time to grow. So we're going to have Creole coming with us to shows for quite a while. Now, do you guys think that alligators live, raise your hand, on the land or in the water? You guys are right, because they live on both. But she does spend a lot of time in the water. So you're going to see a few things. She's got webbing between her toes. She's got a big, strong tail to help her swim really fast. And she's got something else really, really cool. Raise your hand if you guys like to go swimming. And how many people wear goggles when they go swimming? Do you think that my friend Creole is going to go to the store and buy goggles? No, she's not. So, she has her goggles built into her eyes. You know how we have two eyelids, right? We have one on top, one on the bottom. Everybody blink your eyes up and down. Now, we have two eyelids, but she has three, and her third eyelid is clear. So she's got one on top, one on the bottom, and then one that goes from side to side. And the one that goes from side to side is the clear one. That's how what she uses for goggles. So when she gets in the water, she's going to put those goggles over her eyes, and then she's going to be able to see in that dark, murky water in the swamp. Now raise your hand, guys, if you think that alligators are good moms. They're amazing moms, yeah. These guys are great moms. So when a baby alligator first hatches, it's going to make a little peeping noise or a little grunting noise. And mom alligator, she's going to rush over there. She's going to open up those huge jaws, and all of the babies are going to crawl inside her mouth. Then she's going to take them down to the river for their very first swim, and she'll protect them for the next year and a half. That makes alligator moms one of the best moms in the reptile world because they take such good care of their babies. Now, does anybody want to raise their hand and tell me if they have any questions about my friend Creole? What's your question? Do you have a question about her? No? Okay, what's your question?
I just need to know because how come she has some red on her...
She's got some red on her toenails because we have two alligators that live together, Creole and her brother Gumbo. And it's easier to tell them apart when somebody's got their toenails painted. So she has her toenails painted and her brother Gumbo does not. And she's very fancy and she's pink this time. Last time her nails were blue. So we're going a little girlier this time. What's your question?
How long will she live to?
She will live to be 50 to 60 years old. What's your question?
Does she have any gills?
She does not. She has to breathe air. She has to breathe air just like a turtle or a snake or a lizard does. And what's your question?
How old is she?
Right now, Creole is about 5 or 6 years old. All right, if you have any other questions, you can ask me at the end of the show. But are there any brave volunteers who want to come up here and meet Creole? How about in the light blue right there?
Here.
And if anybody has already touched an animal, keep your arm down. That way everybody gets a chance. How about in the blue shorts here? How about in the green right there? And in the green right here. All right, guys, you're going to touch her right down her tail, just like that. Perfect. There we go. Pretty cool, huh, guys? All right, guys. I'm sorry, sweetie, you cannot run up. You got to make sure you stay in your seat for the whole show. All right, guys, before we say goodbye to our alligator, there's a very special way to say goodbye. Does anybody know what it is? Well, you got to say, see you later, alligator.
See you later, alligator.
And she says, after while, crocodile. There you go. All right, guys. Well, that was Creole from the southeast. But this next creature is an animal that not only lives right here in your own backyard, might be in your trash cans, and this one is just a little baby. Right now, she's still really cute and small. And here she comes. This is Tiger Lily. And I think I heard it out there. Tiger Lily is an opossum. Now these guys, like I said, live in your backyard. Might be found in your trash cans because these guys are just like nature's garbage man. They will eat anything they can find. They'll eat dog and cat food. They'll eat fruits and vegetables. They'll even eat the slugs and the snails in your backyard. But they will only live to be anywhere from 2 to 5 years old. And that's because they never ever stop growing. Now Princess Tiger Lily over here is about 8 months old, but she'll only live to be 2 to 5 because she never stops growing. And that means if an opossum lived to be 25 years old, it would be as big as your car. So I don't know about you guys, an opossum as big as my car is not something that I want to see every day. Opossums have something really, really special about them. They have a very famous cousin who lives in Australia who has a pouch. Raise your hand if you can guess who that is. Who is it? A kinkajou? No, not those ones. Which one? A kangaroo, absolutely. These guys are marsupials, just like kangaroos. So they have a pouch on their belly, and that's what they have their babies in. Tiger Lily has a little tiny pouch right now. When she's full grown, it'll be a little bit bigger. And they can have 19 babies at one time. When those babies are born, they're the size of a grain of rice. They are completely hairless, completely bald, and they crawl up to their mom's pouch. They crawl inside that pouch, and they start to grow, and they get bigger and bigger and bigger until they're big enough to climb onto mom's back, and then they hold on to mom's back until they're big enough to be on their own. If we look at Princess Tiger Lily, she's got a really big nose and a really big mouth. That mouth has 50 razor-sharp teeth in it. That's more than any other land mammal. So she's got 50 razor-sharp teeth in that big mouth and a giant nose. Does that mean she has a lot of room for a brain? Yeah. Not so much. Her brain's only about the size of a teaspoon. So she doesn't have a lot of brains, but she makes up for it with brawn. She's got hands with little fingers to help her hold on, and she's got something else really cool. Check out that tail. She has a prehensile tail. Raise your hand if you know what that means. What does it mean when it's a prehensile tail? What does it mean? She can hang upside down. Right now, she probably could. When she is full grown, she'll be way too heavy, but you're right. She can hold on with it. It's like having an extra hand. So it's like having that extra tail holds onto the branches, so she can move around and maneuver in those trees or even in your trash can. So these guys, sadly enough, are seen a lot on the side of the road because they don't have very big brains and they don't notice the big cars. So sometimes if a mom, she gets hit by a car but her babies are still in her pouch, sometimes people called rehabbers or rehabilitation experts will find them. She'll take the babies and raise the babies until they're big enough to be on their own. That's exactly what happened to Princess Tiger Lily. Her mom was killed by a car, and all of her brothers and sisters were also killed, but she survived, and she was raised by a rehabber who helped her to be full grown and get to this stage where she can be on her own, but she's so used to people now, she can't go back out to the wild because she thinks people mean food. So she'll live out the rest of her years with us. They don't have especially great eyes. They use that strong nose and their ears more than they use their eyes. They grow pretty fast, but since they only get to be about maybe 15 pounds and about 3 years, so they grow fast if you consider how short their lifespan is. This is a North American opossum, and there's only one type of opossum, which is this kind, but possums live in Australia, and they're another type of marsupial, and that's a whole other story about possums, but they're in the same family. So guys, we saw a lot of really cool animals from right here in the United States, but now we are gonna head down south. We're gonna head to South America, and we're gonna see a bunch of animals that live in the rainforest. Now in the rainforest, there's animals at every level. Animals that live on the ground, and animals that live a little higher in the trees, and animals that live really high in the trees. Now we all traveled to South America together and we're looking for those animals. We're going to start on the ground. Now this little creature is a one that we can find on the ground in the rainforest. Raise your hand if you can guess what she is. What is she? An armadillo, absolutely. But there are 15 different kinds of armadillos in the world. Hold on, guys. It's getting a little noisy again. Thank you. Now, there are 15 different types of armadillos in the world, but they were not very clever when they named armadillos. For example, the 6-banded armadillo has 6 bands. The 9-banded armadillo has 9 bands. And her name pretty much describes exactly what she is. So I'm going to give you guys a few clues and see if anybody out there can guess what kind of armadillo she is. Here are your clues. She's a dwarf. She is very hairy. And when she's scared, she makes a screaming noise. Does anybody want to guess what kind of armadillo she is? It's very, very close. Do you remember what the other clues were too? What is she? Almost. She's a hairy, screaming, or a dwarf, hairy, screaming armadillo. Not very clever when they named their armadillos. But she is a very, very cool creature. These guys have that armor on their back. That armor is how they protect themselves. They've got elastic bands that run in between that armor that help her to be able to move and bend. Now when she gets scared, guys, is she going to roll into a ball? She's not. There's only one type of armadillo that can, and that's not her. She is way too chubby, and she is not flexible enough to roll all the way into a ball. This is as much of a ball as she'll ever get into. But she's going to do something else. Check out these claws. Now, guys, what do we use shovels for? Digging, absolutely. Now, if those little claws are just like tiny shovels, what does she use them for? Digging, absolutely. When she gets scared, she can dig a hole underground in 30 seconds. That is how fast of a digger she is. So she's got the armor on her back to protect her, and then she can dig really fast to protect her belly. You may also notice she's got this hair all over her body. What do you guys think that's for? Raise your hand if you have a guess of what that is for. What is it for? Do you know?
Because, you know the color?
With the hair on her sides. What does she use it for?
It might blend in with the sand at the bottom.
You are absolutely right. She uses that hair for camouflage. Now, guys, when she holds really, really still, she kind of looks like a rock. But if she's running around in the dirt and the mud and the leaves, she's going to get all of that stuff stuck in that hair. And then when she holds still, she's going to look like a dirty leaf-colored rock. And that is going to help her blend in or camouflage with her surroundings. And that way nobody can find her and make her a snack. These guys do spend a lot of their time running around on the ground digging in the dirt. Raise your hand if you can guess what's creepy crawly that lives in the dirt that she may want to eat. What do you think? Worms, absolutely. What else do you think she's going to eat in the dirt? Ants, absolutely. Any other ideas of what food she might eat? Bugs? And slugs, absolutely. She's going to eat bugs and ants and worms and slugs and anything else creepy crawly that might be on the ground. So these guys eat a lot of different types of bugs. In fact, if you had an armadillo in your backyard, there would be no bugs in your backyard. You also wouldn't have any garden because she would dig it all up, but you would have no bugs. They'll eat centipedes too. Yeah, they use those big claws to help protect themselves because centipedes can bite really, really hard and they've got venom in their bite, but they will catch that centipede and they use those claws to dig at it until it's so confused and beat up that it can't bite anymore. She is not a baby. She is full grown. That's because she's a dwarf armadillo. That's as big as she's going to get. But our biggest armadillo at Wild Wonders is 18 pounds. So there's a huge size difference. That's the largest armadillo. That's a giant 6-banded armadillo is our 18-pound. Holly Jolly is our smallest since she's a dwarf screaming hairy. All right, guys. Well, Holly Jolly is another animal that's nocturnal. Who knows what nocturnal means? What does it mean? She's asleep in the day and she's awake all night. Exactly. That is exactly what she does. So we're going to let her go back to sleep. Everybody say goodnight, Holly Jolly. Well, guys, we are in the rainforest. We just spotted that animal on the ground level. But now we're gonna start heading up those trees. There's lots of animals that live in the trees in the rainforest. So we are gonna have to start climbing. I want everybody out there, start climbing your big tree. Climbing up and up and up that tree. We gotta get 60 feet up in the air. All right, guys, I think we found something. But this animal is fast asleep. So, because we don't want him to wake up and be grumpy, I need everyone to keep nice and quiet for me, because this animal is nocturnal. It sleeps all day, and we're going to wake him up right now. So everyone stay nice and quiet while he comes out. All right. Guys, this is Forrest. Does anybody want to raise their hand and guess what Forrest is? How about in the purple, what is he? A monkey. He kind of looks like a monkey, but he's not a monkey. What is he here in the white? A lemur. He kind of looks like a lemur, but he's not a lemur. In the blue?
A ferret.
A ferret. He does look like a ferret too, but he's none of those things. He kind of looks like a sloth. He even kind of looks like an otter, but he's none of those. He's something called a kinkajou. Can everybody say kinkajou? And a kinkajou is an animal that's in the raccoon family. Now, he's sucking on his hand there. How many of you, when you were babies, you sucked your thumb? It's exactly what he's doing. He just woke up. He's not quite awake yet, so he's going to suck on his hand until he wakes up a little bit more. That's why we call him Baby Forrest. So this is Forrest. He is a kinkajou. They're in the raccoon family. And these guys are also sometimes called a honey bear. Now, they're called a honey bear because they love to eat sweet foods. In fact, when they're in the rainforest and he sees something really, really tasty like a beehive, he's going to sneak up to that beehive really quietly, and he's going to bash his head into it, and he's going to start licking up all the honey with a 6-inch long tongue. Now, guys, if he's licking up all that honey, are the bees going to be pretty mad at him?
Yeah.
What are they going to do? They're gonna sting him, but his fur is so thick that no matter how hard the bees try, the only two places he's gonna feel their stings are the tip of his nose and the tip of his ears. Everywhere else, they're gonna bounce right off of him. These guys live in the rainforest. They live about 60 feet up in the trees. And when they're sitting 60 feet up in the trees, they're looking for those beehives, but they also like to eat fruit. They also like to eat meat. Now, does anybody know what it's called when an animal eats vegetables and meat? Raise your hand if you know what it's called. An herbivore, kind of herbivores, only eat plants. Anybody else have an idea? What's it called? An omnivore. That's absolutely right. An omnivore eats anything. So these guys really, really enjoy sweet food, though. When they're eating plants and different types of fruit 60 feet up in the trees, do you think he's going to climb all the way back down if he drops it? So you're right. So he doesn't want to drop that food. He wants to make sure he's got a way to hold on to it. So he's going to do something really cool. He will hang from his tail. He's going to hang from that prehensile tail. And he will be able to hold on to that food with both of his front hands. And that way he won't drop that food, and he doesn't have to climb all the way back down to the forest floor. Now, guys, when he's 60 feet up in the forest and eating that fruit, do you think he's going to eat all of those gross seeds that are in the fruit? No, he's not. Instead, he's going to spit them all out all over the forest floor. And what happens to seeds when they get wet and they hit dirt? What happens to them? Everybody say it. They grow, absolutely. So these guys are helping to replant the forest with all of the seeds that they spit out. Now, guys, there's something really, really sad happening in the forest. Does anybody know what it is? Raise your hand. What's happening? Do you know what's happening in the rainforest that's really sad? They're chopping down the trees, absolutely. And these guys, animals like Forrest, they're losing their homes. But there's a really easy way for everybody to be able to help save the trees and help save Forrest's home. And we do it with bottles and cans, and it starts with an R. Anybody know what it is? Say it out loud if you do. Recycling, absolutely. By recycling, we are able to help save these guys. Where are you going, handsome? We are able to help save these guys by recycling. And that is how we can help save those trees in the rainforest. Does anybody have any questions about forest? What's your question, sweetie? He is full grown. He's 5 years old. This is as big as he's going to get. They're going to eat lizards, birds, bird eggs, anything that's small enough that they can catch with those fast little hands. What's your question there, sweetie? A mammoth? No, he's not a mammoth, but he is a mammal. He is warm-blooded, and the girls give a live birth and nurse their young, just like a dog or cat does. The way he protects himself from the bees is his fur is so thick. He's got so much hair, and he also uses it just like a raincoat, because he lives in the rainforest, and so it makes it a little easier for him to be able to not get soaked every time it rains, because it rains a lot in the rainforest. We are going to let Forrest head back to sleep, so everybody can say good night, Forrest. He's very squirmy. All right, guys. Well, Forrest lives really high up in the trees, but so does this next animal. And for this next animal, I need 3 volunteers who are very brave, because they're going to hold an animal that they have never seen before. So you have to be really, really brave. How about right here in the pink? Come stand right up here in front of the table for me. And the white shirt right there. And how about a grown-up? Do I have any grown-ups who will be really brave for me? How about on the green stripes right there? All right, I need my 3 volunteers to stand very close to each other in front of that table. Scoot in a little bit more. And my brave adult will stand right next to them. Now, guys, these are going to be our rainforest trees. So I need my trees to put out their limbs right out in front of them. And my audience, do trees have eyes? No. No, they don't. Hey, buddy, can you make sure you're sitting back down for me? So trees do not have eyes, so I need my trees to close their eyes. And they're going to be really surprised when this animal comes out. And I need everybody in the audience to not tell them what's coming. So everyone stay nice and quiet so we don't ruin the surprise. All right, my trees can open their eyes. This is Sandy, and Sandy is a red-tailed boa. These guys live in the rainforest in the exact same places as those kinkajous do, and they're really, really cool. Volunteers, is he pretty heavy? Yeah, but I'll tell you guys something. Sandy is not even full grown. Sandy's about 7 feet right now, and he's going to get to be he's going to get to be 13 to 15 feet long. So right now, this is still a pretty small snake. All right, my rainforest trees were great. They can head on back to their seats. Let's give them a round of applause. No, not yet. All right. Hold on. Do some snake wrangling here. All right. Now I think I'm good. All right, guys. Well, Sandy, as I said, is a red-tailed boa. And these guys like to live in the rainforest, and they will eat pretty much anything they can find. They're going to eat anything they can fit in that mouth. So raise your hand if you know what snakes like to eat. What do they eat? Mouse, exactly. What else? What else do they like to eat? Maybe the little ones will eat bugs, but not somebody this big. What do you think? A mouse, exactly. Mice and rats. What else? These guys are going to eat mice. They're going to eat rats. They're going to eat birds and lizards and eggs. An animal this size will even eat a kinkajou. So, how do they eat something as big as a kinkajou when their head is only that big? How are they going to do that? Everybody put your hands together like this. This is your big snake mouth. So people, we open our mouths and close them just like this. That is how we eat, but a snake eats in a different way. It'll open its mouth like that and keep your thumbs together and open your mouth even wider. That is how a snake eats, because your thumbs are what's called a quadrate bone. And that quadrate bone is how the animal opens its mouth really, really wide to eat something as big as a kinkajou. Now you may notice Sandy is sticking his tongue out. Do you think that he's being rude? No. Is he saying na 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 na? No. What is he doing? He's smelling. Exactly. Stick out your tongue, everybody. Can you smell anything? No, you can't. But we use our nose for smelling. They use their tongue. So when a snake smells something, it sticks its tongue out. It collects a bunch of air particles on that tongue and sucks its tongue back in, and then puts its tongue against the roof of his mouth. And he's got something just like a computer chip in his mouth that helps him to be able to figure out what's in the area. So guys, if there was a bowl of popcorn sitting next to you, would you be able to smell it? Yeah, you probably would. Well, if there was a mouse in this room, Sandy would be able to smell it. That is how strong their sense of smell is. So they use that tongue to find their food, and after they eat something as big as a kinkajou, they don't have to eat again for 3 weeks. So they eat really big meals, but not very often. So when a snake eats something really big like a kinkajou, or even as small as a mouse or a rat, they're going to go find a nice warm place. They're going to sit in that warm place, and they're not going to leave it for about 3 days. They're going to sit there and let the warmth help them digest their food. And then it'll start moving through the rest of their body. So these guys will find, so a big snake like Sandy, if he ate a kinkajou, would go find a nice warm place in a cave or in the sun and sit there. For something as big as a kinkajou, it would probably, instead of being about 3 days, be about a week. And just sit there and not move. Snakes are very, very efficient. They move when they have to, and when they don't have to, they don't move. Right now, I'm nice and warm, and he knows me, so he's going to just hang out right here, and I know I'm way too big for food, so he has no interest in eating me or squeezing me. Right now, I'm just acting like a tree. What's your question? These guys will live to be 25 to 30 years old, and that's sometimes why people get into trouble, because they get a snake like this who starts off about this big and really, really cute. And then they get bigger and bigger and bigger, and by the time they're about 5 years old, they're about this big. And then you've got another 25 years of an animal that's this big in your house. So when you get a new pet, especially an exotic pet, make sure you know how long it's going to live and how big it's going to get, and make sure that fits with your lifestyle. What's your question? These are not my pets. That's a great question. All of the animals here today are furry and scaly ambassadors. These guys are one-legged, or two-legged, zero-legged, or four-legged teachers. So these guys go to schools, they go to libraries, and they even go to birthday parties and teach people all about why these animals are so cool. But that is a great question. They are not my pets. They are my coworkers. All right, one more question about Sandy. What's your question? He cannot change color. These guys are this one solid color that helps them blend in with their environment. All right, guys, if you have any other questions, you can ask me after the show. Now, we saw some pretty cool animals, right, guys? We learned a lot of really cool things about them, but the most important thing we learned is how we can help save them. Because animals like Sandy and animals like Forrest the kinkajou are losing their homes every single day. What was the thing that we can all do every day to help save them that starts with an R? We can recycle, absolutely. And the other way you can help save these animals, you're all doing it right now. You're learning about them. The more you learn about these animals, the more you see them, the more you read about them here at the library, the more you're going to be able to help save them. So keep coming to the library and check out books about how cool snakes are or about how weird opossums are. And learn as much as you can, because the more you learn, the better you're going to be able to save them. Now, I'm going to hang out over by the door as everybody leaves, so everybody's going to get a chance to touch Sandy. But if you want to learn more about Wild Wonders, you can check out our website, wildwonders.org. We're located in Oceanside, in Bonsall technically, but in the Oceanside area. and we have 120 animals on our zoo. And you can come and do tours there. The kids can even do Zookeeper for a day where they learn exactly what it's like to train and work with these animals every single day. And we even come to your house with 6 animals for a birthday party. So if you want the zoo to come to your house for your birthday, check out our website and we can do that.